The focus on the afternoon on Saturday, anytime. 52 for the high. Saturday night, just plain wet. Periods of rain, maybe a rumble. Chilly, 43 degrees. Sunday, an early morning shower, but Sunday is mainly dry. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Filling in for Mark Reardon. Happy to be with you. Happy to be alongside Daniel, the Canadian producer. And I was going to talk about Robert Duvall and all the different movies he was in. I forgot just his library of movies. And Robert Duvall passing away at the age of 95. It goes back, I forgot he was in the movie MASH. And then you just kind of go through The Godfather, of course. The Godfather Part 2, and I'm going through his IMDb, and he worked a lot. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. When did that one hit? Oh, that was before Apocalypse Now. Yeah, the whole speech in Apocalypse Now may be one of the great all-time speeches in movies. If you think about the movies that you can quote lines from, this is one of them. This is an iconic.
You smell that? Napalm, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. You know, one time we had a hail bomb for 12 hours. When it was all over, I walked up. We didn't find one of them, not one stinking dink body. Smell. You know that gasoline smell. The whole hill. It smells like victory.
It smells like victory. I'll tell you what, sometimes I'll walk out and I'll say that to my kids. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. They're like, what are you talking about, Dad? That doesn't make any sense. What's napalm? Oh, don't you worry about it. Robert Duvall, 95 years old. Some people say perhaps one of the last great conservative Hollywood celebrities that were left. I guess there's Dirty Harry out there still, too. I forgot he was in Days of Thunder. Falling Down. Man, was he good in Falling Down. That's a movie I've been meaning to rewatch. There's a movie my wife loves, and it's called Four Christmases. She can't get enough of that movie. It's as many people watch Home Alone, she watches Four Christmases. Forget about shooting your eyeball out with a BB gun. That's her movie, and Robert Duvall's in that one. Another sad thing to note, Blueberry Hill co-founder Linda Kennedy Edwards has died. Linda and her husband, Joe Edwards, opened Blueberry Hill Restaurant and Music Club in 1972. And you think about how much that Del Mar Loop area has grown thanks to them. She passed away as well and died on Sunday. Very sad. My condolences to them. I thought we need to pay our respects to them as well. But and you look at all the news that's around us with like Nancy Guthrie, and we're just bombarded with morbid, terrible news. What is going to happen with Nancy Guthrie's mom? Because when we find, Nancy Guthrie, but Savannah Guthrie's mom, excuse me. Now there's a glove that was found, and there's some DNA evidence alongside of it. I found that there was one more plea that they put in there. Here is Savannah Guthrie.
I wanted to come on, and it's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken, and I just wanted to come on and say that we still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing.
Wow. And you hear these things from Savannah Guthrie, and what a difference it makes between. I almost look at this as a man and woman thing, because as a guy, if someone did this to a loved one of yours, you would go Liam Neeson. I will find you and I will kill you. Like, that's what you're thinking in the back of your mind. But you know that's not going to get you what you need. Savannah goes in and is very strategic. She understands that this is the last hope that she has of them changing their mind. But it sounds like they may be in Mexico. I saw that Harvey Levin, TMZ, mentioned that they received another letter from someone that supposedly knows where she is.
I don't know if you're real or not if you're watching this, but if you are, and I have told the FBI that we're going to do this, they know this, that if you're worried about getting this money and you really do have this information, send it to us. You're sending us these letters. Send it to us. We will forward it to the FBI. And that way there's a record that we have that you supplied this information. If they find her and they find the kidnapper, then at least there is evidence, because we have it, that you're the one who provided the information. So this is a way for you to get that money if this really is legitimate. Send us the information. We will pass it on to the FBI.
All right, so that where TMZ sits with all of this, they could be the intermediate. They at least know that if they get this information, they can get it quickly, distribute it. They know it's more legit. They're the ones already receiving this type of information. But part of the understanding, and they read some of the other letters that came in, and they mentioned south of the border. If they're in Mexico right now, and keep in mind Tucson's right there by the border, very easy for them to pass over. Anything could happen. But one of the big pieces of news that came in the last 24 hours, a black glove found near the Arizona home of Nancy Guthrie contains DNA evidence that is being tested, appears to match the gloves worn by the suspect. So, I mean, the gloves could be nothing. There's so many unanswered questions to all of this that the FBI and the police are keeping this so close to the vest. I think they've lied to people in some ways, hoping that it wouldn't impede, knowing that there's a lot of amateur sleuths out there. But when you're asking for the public's help, and you're grasping at anything you can get at, you think you'd want to tell the public the truth, everything that is the truth there. But you look at a crime scene like this and you're like, okay, there's no forced entry. What happened here? Why is it the way it is? There's so many things that they're not telling us that it would make life easier if they did. Daniel, the Canadian producer, I got a question for you if you don't mind. I don't know much about you. Are you in a relationship? Do you have a significant other?
I do. Me and my girlfriend have been together for a little over 6.5 years.
Okay. Did you go out on Valentine's Day this past weekend?
Yeah, she goes to school in Murray State in Murray, Kentucky, so I drove down there, picked her up, and we spent the weekend in Nashville.
It's a very convenient thing to say. No one sees her ever. Oh, she goes to a different school, is what you're saying. So Valentine's Day is a very special time for guys to not mess it up. My wife did something very strange this year, and I think this is the sign that we're getting old, because you're young still. Yeah. You got a lot of years left in you.
I hope.
We went out to a movie. We went to go see, what was it? It was Good Luck, Don't Die, something like that. And the whole moral of this story is a guy comes back from the future and says, AI is about to kill everyone. We need to stop this. And all the kids are on social media. It's rotting their brains. And you don't know what it's like in the future. It's an apocalyptic future because this technology just ruins and kills everyone. So we need to stop it. So who's with me? And it's an interesting take on where we are in definitely this generation with technology. So we went to go see this movie. And of course, it's Valentine's Day. I can't say no to the popcorn and the drinks and everything else.
Of course.
Even though in the back of my mind, it's so expensive. I'm like, please, no, let's not do this. But you can't say no on Valentine's Day.
No, absolutely not.
So we get there, and of course, it's loaded with butter, just the way it should be at a movie theater. And on the way in, she grabs the napkins and she grabs a spoon. And we get into the theater, and she's eating the popcorn with a spoon. Honey, what are you doing? She's like, I don't want to get the butter on my fingers.
Okay.
So That's not a thing, is it? Is that just a girl thing that I don't know about?
No, I mean, I feel like I would never do
No
it,
one
but I
does
feel
that.
like it's like a kind of valid reason, maybe.
It's a good reason, but is it a sign that we're just getting old and we don't have to care what other people think anymore? If you want to sit there and eat an entire bag of popcorn, buttered to the brim, and not get your fingers dirty, the spoon's the way to go. And you're probably pacing yourself so you don't eat the whole thing during the previews, and then you're left with nothing when the movie starts. Maybe she's a trendsetter in that sense.
She might be onto something there. I mean, because we're probably about half the bucket empty by the time we get to the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so
and
easy.
the movie, I checked the time. Movie was supposed to start at 1 o'clock. After previews, it wasn't until 1:20. 1:20. That should be illegal. I know they've brought this up in the past. That should not happen. That is garbage. They should never do that. So now my wife has a new technique. She eats popcorn with a spoon, and she'll probably do it at the house too. And she won't think twice about it. Her fingers will be clean when she's done. She don't have to worry about wiping buttery fingers on her clothes or jacket or pants or anything like that.
Well, yeah, and then if you're holding a remote or something too, you don't have to worry about getting the remote all greasy.
Oh, yeah. Like she wants to hold on to the remote. She's more concerned about her phone. Oh, I don't want to get my phone, because she's checking her phone, during the shows and the movies. Oh, I don't want to get my phone all buttery. No, she don't have to worry about that either. All right, coming up after the break is the former White House spokesperson under George W. Bush. You may see him on CNN. He does a fantastic job when he's an expert or a panel member. Pete Seed is joining us after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon on 97.1 FM Talk.
Kid Rock, a celebration 250 years in the making. Freedom 250 Tour, The Road to Nashville. Friday, May 15th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. With Parker McCollum. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com.
American Badass!
The ultimate American party. Kid Rock.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
The colder weather is here, and my friends at Hanson's Tree Service want to offer you a 10% winter discount for all tree care scheduled between January and March of next year. Mark Cox here. Call now. Get your spot secured. Also, when it comes to winter plant health care, it's a great time to get one of their arborists over. Have them to prescribe the best treatment options for your trees during the fall and winter season. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Schedule your appointment today at hansonstree.com.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Everyone needs to have at least one person in their corner in life. When you don't, it's an extremely lonely and frightening place to be. But knowing you have that one person gives you peace and hope. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Since 1988, myself and my firm have been in so many corners for so many clients for so many years. We became the largest injury firm in the world for a reason, and it's not even close. We fought like hell for you. We fight the bullies, automobile insurance companies, the makers of unsafe products, medical providers who injured or killed their own patients. It has been such an honor and made my life complete. If you ever need us, it's easy. Security. We're here for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Mark Reardon Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in. If you want to find me online at Ryan Recker or Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. Joining us now, former White House spokesperson under George W. Bush, also a panelist and guest expert on CNN, among other outlets throughout the years, Pete Seat. Welcome to St. Louis. How are you?
Ryan, it's a pleasure to talk to you and the fine folks of St. Louis.
I appreciate your style on CNN, by the way, and I find that here's what happens a lot of times on network television. Some people are overly aggressive. I find you're very pragmatic. You just want to get to the truth. I really appreciate that, so I just wanted to get that out there. But working for a network like CNN, you probably get a lot of hate mail, I'm guessing.
Well, thank you for the compliments. Yes, it's rare that I hear that type of feedback from viewers. And, the crazy thing is, one, I don't work for them. I get paid nothing to go into the lion's den, so to speak.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But, I get this question a lot from both my Republican and Democrat friends. And I think each side expects a variation of the same response to why do you go on CNN? What's it like to go on CNN? And they expect me to be like, oh, it's horrible. And I think Republicans want to hear that because it reinforces their perceptions of the network, and Democrats want to hear that because they would derive some glee from my misery. But that's not the answer. Sorry to say to everyone, I do it because I enjoy it and because I feel a duty and an obligation to do it, going into places where Republicans aren't expected and in some cases unwanted. I think is really important. Playing those away games and informing viewers, educating viewers, exposing viewers to another perspective, I think is really, really important. And when I'm invited and it works for my schedule, I'm happy to be there.
That's great. I might be out of the loop. I think it's going to be quiet in D.C. this week. So there's this partial shutdown going on, and I don't think lawmakers are going to be back. So with this, how long do you think it'll last?
Congress not working in Congress? Oh, my gosh, mercy me. I have not heard that in a while. Look, this is a shutdown. Let's start with this. This is a shutdown in name only. ICE is already funded. In fact, it's funded for another 4 years, which is why John Fetterman, Democrat senator from Pennsylvania, has openly questioned what leverage Democrats have in this whole debate. And the answer is they have no leverage because of the funding mechanism and the fact that the funding is already there. Now, that could change. Pain could be felt by other parts of DHS here in a couple of weeks once we get into March, and that could possibly change the calculus. But what's really important to me and what I think folks need to hear and understand is, Democrats came with a list of demands. They started with 3 that ballooned to 10. And they have called those demands, not ideas, not proposals to reform ICE. They have called those demands. And that's not really how you start a negotiation, particularly a negotiation that requires give and take, where the Democrats are going to have to give something in order to take something, which means Republicans are going to get something out of this as well. But I think it ends. The day it ends, whenever that happens, is going to occur because the 2 New Yorkers, Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump, get together and they say, okay, no more Broadway drama. Let's cut a deal. You get a couple pieces, we get a couple pieces, and we move forward.
Well, what if, hypothetically, they look at this and you're mentioning these different programs that are already funded, and we have a shutdown in name only, and they say, oh, we got some time. Let's drag this out. Like, we can make a huge spectacle of this because no one's really going to get hurt with it being a spectacle. It's a midterm year. That's what I worry about, moments like that where it can get super political when it comes to strategy.
Yeah, and we see how that turned out for Democrats. And I know they'll point to polls that say, oh, Democrats won the shutdown that was 40-plus days a few months back. But they ended up not getting an extension of those temporary Obamacare subsidies. So where did they maybe won the messaging war, they maybe won the polling war, but they lost the policy war. So if the Democrat argument is we care more about politics than policy, this is why we keep ending up in this cycle after cycle of, we'll replace the bums. Well, we seem to just be replacing one group of bums with another group of bums. and just keep going through this over and over again and not fixing anything.
Yep. And we just had the Munich conference going on, and I thought Marco Rubio gave a very nice speech. I see a lot of people posting clips online there, kind of a warning to that side of the world. And yeah, there's been a lot of lawmakers, policymakers that made it to Munich. I'm in Michigan, and there we have Gretchen Whitmer, is always a big political figure here, and she was over there. It seemed like everyone was over there trying to add a little bit of star power to themselves and whatever their future endeavors may be.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that a number of aspiring Democrat presidential nominees did a soft launch of their campaigns for president on foreign soil. Put on that list Gavin Newsom, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which, listening to her, she told everyone that Rubio was effectively going to go there and end the transatlantic alliance, which if you listen to the speech, read the speech, definitely not what happened. She even said that the Trump administration is, quote, looking to withdraw the United States from the entire world. Well, I would ask the Venezuelans how they feel about that, or the Iranians, or the Israelis, or Hamas, or the 8 Muslim majority nations the United States leveraged to peer pressure Hamas into a peace deal. What about Azerbaijan and Armenia? They've reached a peace deal because of U.S. leadership. We are not withdrawing from the world, but that is the way Democrats think. It's all just anti-Trump. And AOC is, this is the best that they have to put her on the world stage to make their case. I'm not sure how a lot of people take it seriously.
No, and I know we see the clips and things. It's going on during the Olympics, so you go through your feed. All right, there's a clip from Munich. There's a ski boarder falling down. There's the guy touching the curling rock. There's AOC. There's Hillary Clinton. There's this. It's such a weird feed going on right now on social media. I got to say, my whole algorithm's screwed up.
I know. I'm very mindful of what I click on and, what I expand to try and read the whole post, because I'm like, oh, man, my entire algorithm is now like, it's going to be messed up for weeks. It's going to think I care about this random issue that I really don't care about.
Right. All right, so it is President's Day. Happy President's Day to you. Do you have a favorite historical president?
My answer is such a cop-out, and I apologize up front for this, but I was thinking about this, and I kept coming back to my former boss, President George W. Bush, and I know that's not looking too far back in the past for some, Gen Z, that might as well have been the 1800s in their minds, but, watching him every day, seeing how he handled the weight of the world on his shoulders, you can't beat that. And it made me appreciate more every president, every person who's worked in that building, who's worked in the Oval Office over the 250 years of our nation's existence, to be able to have a, no pun intended, front row seat to the presidency is something that I will always cherish and be grateful for.
Oh, that's great. Do you have George W. Bush in your cell phone programmed?
No, I'll say I don't. I don't. But if I need to get a message to him, I have ways of doing that.
You have ways to do that, yes. If you ever wanted to take an art class with him, would you be allowed to do that?
I would love to. And this is so funny. I have run into former prime ministers and ambassadors at different events, and almost every time when they find out that I worked for George W. Bush, they ask me to get a painting from him.
Right.
Whether it's like something they want to get personally commissioned or just anything that he's painted. He's got such a unique style. I was at the Bush Library back in September, and just walking around, they have all these different works of art that he's painted on the walls, and he's just got a unique way of doing it. It's great. I love that he has found this passion outside of the presidency and outside of public office. And sometimes I wish all the former presidents found a passion outside of being in office or being under the spotlight and found something else to do with their time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of how I found you. I mean, yes, I've seen you on CNN, but sometimes when the clips come and go, you're on to the next thing. Then I saw that you collect animation art like I do, and I was so excited. I said, someone else in the media collects animation art, and I was so pumped for that. So that's how we connected online at first, which I thought was really cool. So, yeah, you have to find other things to do. You can't just argue with people all day.
That's right. And I'll tell you real quick, Rick Klein from ABC News, based in D.C., is a huge sports card collector. And we've known each other through politics, but that's how we have bonded in a different way, talking about that hobby. We run into each other every year at the National Sports Collectors Convention. That's one of the things I love about politics is getting beneath the political part and learning who people are as human beings and finding those commonalities.
Great. Well, Pete Seitz, former White House spokesperson under George W. Bush. People wanted to look you up online, follow you on social media. Where can they go?
At Pete Seat, both on X and Facebook.
Great. Thank you so much for doing this. Happy President's Day to you, and it was great catching up.
You got it. Thanks, Ryan.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Don't go anywhere. 97.1 FM Talk.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon and learn how to create a worry-free retirement with the Retirement Advisory Group. It's coming up on Tuesday, February 17th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30 p.m. Here are Bob and Tammy Kershaw with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From Troy, Missouri to Troy, Illinois. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Super happy that we had Pete on, and that is super cool, too. He does a great job. He really does on CNN. And if you want to find me online at Ryan Recker, joining us now, the senior fellow at the Energy and Environment Legal Institute and former Trump EPA transition team member, Steve Milloy. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I should add now the executive director of the organization's Freedom Enterprise Project. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
So when I had, and I'm not someone that buys new cars just because out of necessity. I like cars that are easy to work on, but I'll say when it came to new cars, one of the most frustrating things is when you'd stop at a light and the engine would cut off. I thought that was the stupidest thing in the world, and I got to be honest, I didn't realize that was a mandate until Trump repealed the study.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait, the reason they did that was because of this? That's the stupidest reason. And I'm so glad stupid little things like that will be going away.
Yeah, so last week, President Trump rescinded the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding for greenhouse gases, which is underlying all climate action across the federal government. And part of that climate action was that stupid switch you're talking about that everybody hates. And I mean, the notion that that switch was going to save the planet was just absurd. It was always stupid. It's the kind of thing that, you know, the car industry, I mean, one of the reasons you can't work on cars anymore is because the car industry has been doing the government's bidding and making everything more expensive, more needlessly complex. And that was just one example of that. But, you know, this was a huge deregulatory move last week, the biggest in history. Cars will no longer be held to mileage standards. We won't have to worry about emissions of carbon dioxide. And so things like that switch are just not needed.
Do you think that is going to uphold any legal challenge? It sounds like almost immediately they jumped on that.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing. So it's not only does it have to survive legal challenge, but it's got to result in the overturning of the case that made this regulation possible in the first place. You know, Congress, under our system, under the Constitution, Congress makes the laws, the executive branch implements them. But in 2009, with this endangerment finding, Congress never authorized EPA to make it, never authorized EPA to regulate greenhouse gas emissions. But the Obama EPA did it anyway. And it's taken this long to get to the point where, you know, this regulation is really just illegal. So what has to happen is this has to get into court. We have to win. But most importantly, we have to make sure that the original Supreme Court decision that allowed the Obama EPA to do the regulation, 2007 decision in Massachusetts versus EPA, is overturned, and that will make it that will mean that Congress actually has to authorize EPA to regulate climate, which is unlikely to happen.
Yeah, well, I look at this and I say the EPA under Obama, and you know, to not so much to the extent of Biden, but mostly under Obama. They definitely overplayed their authority over and over and over again, and it absolutely needed to be reeled back. This is something that Donald Trump should have done in his first term, honestly, but I'm glad it's happening now.
Yeah, the first term was things were not handled all that competently. That's why, I want to make sure they get done correctly this time, and it's not an easy thing to do. There's an incredible amount of overregulation. It wasn't done accidentally. You said that Obama and Biden overplayed. I think it's more malicious than that. I worked in the coal industry at the time. I know St. Louis used to be a great coal town with Peabody and Arch Coal. The Obama and Biden administrations destroyed half the coal industry. All the big coal companies went into bankruptcy and were picked up by these Wall Street guys who don't know anything about coal. And that was terrible for our economy, terrible for our grid, terrible for coal communities, and it was malicious, political in nature. And so, what President Trump has to do now is, reverse all that stuff and make it stick. And that's the challenge.
Yeah, and what we saw, and I'll go back to when I first started, I guess, really becoming more aware of how the EPA was overplaying its hand. And this is during the Biden administration. And you would look at these things, they're like, okay, wait a minute. So if there's a bit of standing water on a property, the EPA wants to be able to define that as a swamp and require you to, they'll fine you if you try to get rid of the water. Or let's say the navigable water deal where if you're within a certain amount of miles of a body of water, if you put lawn fertilizer down, they want to come after you. Like this is the overpowering of the government that is impeding on just everyday people, let alone hotels and golf courses, things like that. And I looked at that and I said, this is out of control. And people would say, well, you're just against clean air and water then, aren't you? But like, no, not against clean air and water. We're against government intrusion in your lives and overstepping their authority. And that's what the EPA was doing over and over again. So this is about time that they took a step back, because it's been going on way too long.
Well, right. And you're talking about the Waters of the United States rule, WOTUS. And, the people who have been trying to build a house in Idaho that have been stopped by EPA, they have 2 9-0 Supreme Court decisions on their side, and they still can't get their house done because of EPA, even under the Trump administration, because there's this resistance, in the Trump EPA that makes things difficult to do. It's hard to get rid of. I mean, what we're fighting against in EPA and just the bureaucracy in general is just 50 years of entrenched leftists that will not do the right thing. I mean, they are there to obstruct, and that is their mission.
Mm-hmm. So the start-stop engines, that's one thing. What are some other things that we can see benefit everyday people with the disbanding of this Obama-era climate agenda?
Well, so gasoline prices are going to be permanently low. There's almost no chance of a gasoline crisis again between fracking and the Trump administration's energy dominance agenda. Gasoline prices are going to be low.
Yeah.
We have Venezuela as well too. Also with the electric grid, electricity prices have skyrocketed over the last 10 years, and it's because of this green agenda. So this green agenda is going away. Now, what happened last week doesn't affect stationary sources and emissions from stationary sources, but they're going to get around to that. But they've got to do it soon. And once they get that down, then we'll have more gas plants, more coal plants, maybe even some nuclear plants, and gas and electricity prices will decrease. It's this green agenda that has forced prices up, especially now we have all these AI data centers coming online. We want to reindustrialize. We need electricity, and you can't do that with wind and solar because they're not scalable sources of electricity.
I think in a lot of ways, even the left is waking back up to the power of nuclear and what that could do, especially some of these smaller reactors. It seems like they're on board all of a sudden with that.
Well, I'm skeptical about that. The left is not on board with anything. The left has a political agenda. They don't care if we have enough electricity. I'm for nuclear. President Trump is for nuclear. I'm probably more for nuclear than the nuclear industry is because they're not doing the right things to get the industry going. But that's a whole different subject. But the left, some of them may say they're for nuclear power, but they're really not. And you'll see that when people start making applications to put up plants or install small modular reactors or do move waste around, stuff like that. They will be up in arms. They will block nuclear that way. So I've been around long enough. I want to show me that you're really for something.
Yep. And, with some of these other mandates, and I know Donald Trump has really been working on this, he's saying that the price of a new car is going to go down, too, with some of these different regulations that will be lifted. Do you believe that? Do you believe that, hey, in the future, if, let's say, these car makers that are losing billions of dollars trying to invest in these electric because they're told they had to, now that you get this weight off of their back, they can invest in the ways that they think's best for their company. Do you think that's going to drop the cost of a car?
Well, much of the price of a new car are the regulations regarding fuel mileage. Okay, so those are going to go away. That is going to make cars cheaper. Cars will not have to meet ridiculous mileage standards to be sold. So to the extent that that kind of technology goes away, car prices will drop. With the electric vehicle mandates being gone, car makers will be freer, and I hope they take up the opportunity to make cars that Americans want to buy. The problem is that in the 1970s, people held on to cars for an average of 5 years, and then they got a new car. I mean, that was the nature of the economy and the car business, and it was terrific. Nowadays, cars are so expensive, people are forced to hold on to them for 12 years on average. That's the average age of a car on the road. And that's not good for the industry. It's not good for consumers. I mean, you have people driving old clunkers. It's not good. So this rule is going to hopefully help fix that. Car prices will come down. People will be able to get new cars more often. It'll be good for the industry, good for the workers, good for the economy.
Yeah. If you can look at my hands right now, they got the grease and grime in it because I drive a 20-year-old clunker, old Mercury clunker, and I had to change a caliper on one of the back wheels. And I was out there this weekend working on it. Hands just greasy, but I thought, I just can't get a new car right now. I'm going to have to Frankenstein this thing together and keep it on the road as long as I can. It's just the car I drive back and forth to work. We have the family car, which is nicer. Then we have the clunker, which I drive to work. And I thought maybe one day I'll be able to afford a car that's not 20 years old. I'm hoping under some of these different changes that are going on that the tide may be changing.
Yeah, no, it's terrible that you can't work on your own car. I mean, and this is true with all sorts of any equipment with a motor. You can't work on it anymore because it's all electronic, and it's pointlessly expensive. If they break, you have to throw them away and get a new one, and it's sort of designed like that. And the government has played a big role in that with their nonsense regulations. So President Trump is trying to change all that. It's going to take some time. We've had 50, 60 years of overregulation. Pointless overregulation. This is not like it's making the air any better or improving health or the environment. It's just pointless regulations, a drag on the economy. And, it's going to take a while for it to come to an end, but, I think President Trump is heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and you know what? It's all these different statistics, these doom and gloom statistics that they threw at us to try to justify their actions. They never pan out in the long run. And you see that, and you're right. You're part of junk science. I think you founded junkscience.com, right? So you see this where they say these things. If you don't do what we're telling you, everyone's going to die in a decade. And it never pans out. We've been lied to over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And who's benefiting and who's profiting off of those lies? It's not us. We're still getting beat up.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, Ryan. I mean, we've been lied to for decades. There's not a single apocalyptic environmental prediction that has come true in the last 50 or 60 years. Al Gore, he has built up a net worth of $300 million just telling these green lies, climate lies for the last 20 years. It's really incredible. I wish there was some way to make these people accountable for the disaster they've caused in our economy. But all you can do is wake people up. These people, the radical environmentalists have never been right about anything. They have not improved our environment one bit. I've worked on these issues for 35 years. This is a tragedy, and more people need to know about it, and we need to vote accordingly.
Yep. Steve Milloy, by the way, if people wanted to find you online, where can they go?
Go to X. I post at Junk Science. My website is junkscience.com.
Perfect. Steve Milloy, thank you so much. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Ryan. Yep. Bye-bye.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. This day is going by fast. And wait till you hear the audio cut of the day, which we're going to play at the end of the show. It's so good, I may have to play you a preview of it at the start of next hour. That's how good it is. Really enjoying spending this time with you here. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today. Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace And then Mirabelle Gardens, featured in The Sound of Music, this and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at Des Peres, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details. There's no better way to upgrade your backyard than by calling my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck Company. Mark Cox here, locally owned and operated for 58 years now, and it is a sign you have the very best because they're so proud of what they do. They offer fences, of course, and decks, and sunrooms, and screen rooms, and patios, retaining walls, and so much more. Chesterfield Fence and Deck takes so much pride in what they do because they've done it for so many people. When they come over to your house, they'll give you a free estimate, no obligation, free project design. They'll take out their digital photo gallery of completed projects and let you see what other people are doing, and then you can make it your own. When they do their work, they give you a 5-year labor warranty and a comprehensive material warranty, and they're highly rated with the Better Business Bureau, of course. Reach out to them today. Tell them you heard about it from Mark Cox. You're going to get 48 months interest-free financing on your next project. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Reckner, filling in for Mark Reardon. And I really appreciate the time that we get here. Our Canadian producer, Daniel, is back in the studio there. And I should have asked you this after the interview, but are we out at 56:50? Is that our out time here?
It is. I was just about to text you that because I forgot to tell you when I ran back in here.
That's okay, because I hate saying these things on air. It's a little bit of a look behind the scenes to make sure we get the timing right for the commercials. And when we play Fox News and come back a little bit after 4 o'clock, I got a clip from Marco Rubio I want to play that is just so good. It's going to be our audio cut of the day, but I'm going to give you a little teaser for it a little bit after 4 o'clock. But it's from Munich. It's fantastic from Munich, too. I think people are really going to like it. I saw this one story over on Fox 2, and it was interesting. Man arrested for lewd act downtown months after school incident. Said less than 2 weeks after being released from jail for exposing himself at a school. St. Louis man is again charged with public exposure at a downtown apartment complex. So the guy gets caught and then immediately is reoffending as they get back onto the street. Police say the employee at the apartment leasing office spotted Aaron Barber, a 35-year-old, standing outside the glass door with his genitals exposed, and he was doing more than that with them. Barber, was not a resident at the complex, entered the building as the employee attempted to lock the door to the leasing office behind them. And what a creepy thing to think about. I know we got a lot to deal with in the city of St. Louis, and I think about all the problems that were some of the worst of the worst. We saw the offenders that were part of violent crime sprees that would be cycled back onto the street almost immediately. What did we see? Like we saw them, they'd go out there and get in fights. What was the more recent one last year during 4th of July? This is a great example of it. You have a minor going downtown, shooting fireworks off by these buildings, get arrested, find out they're a minor. Parent comes, picks them up. Parent immediately drops them back off downtown so they can go back and shoot fireworks off again. Do you remember that story? You had the overcrowding in the prisons. You had a backed up legal system that was run by a extremely incompetent and probably worse than that prosecutor in Kim Gardner. You have people that have murdered other people that are cycled back onto the street. You have people out there driving like they're trying to murder people with zero problems because they keep doing it over and over and over again. Even if police stop them, what happens to them? They might get a ticket and they don't show, and then they go back later and complain and cry when they have to later pay their tickets and the fines associated with it, or maybe even warrants out for their arrest if it actually does exceed to that point. In the rare cases that it does. And then you have the advocates out there that are like, oh, just think of how that's going to disrupt their lives if they can't go to work to pay the fine for all the other things they've racked up leading to that point, where all the other chances that they were given. And we have shootings, we have stabbings, we have homeless population that is getting ignored and not treated properly. There's a lot of issues that are on the table here. And now you get random guys going around doing this and then release and doing this again. This is too much. Oh, and let's not forget the cars that get broken into nonstop downtown, and it's a regular occurrence that if you live downtown and you park in a public area, your car is going to get broken into. If you go drive to a sporting event, even if you pay for parking in a lot, there's a chance that it still gets broken into. There are so many issues, and to think that someone that is doing this and had a connection to a school is doing this over and over again, we got to evaluate this and say this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Let's put it that way. If you weren't serious about the problems that are going on now, just think if this was your daughter or your wife that this person was going up and doing this to, and you tell me if you think that we shouldn't take this seriously. A couple of other clips going on. Yeah, we got a minute or so. I thought this was something that was going viral on social media. Did you see the protester that was following ICE around, the social justice protester? And ICE stops and confronts this lady, and the lady was not prepared for what ICE had to say. Let me play this for you. I think you're really going to like this. All right. Now, keep in mind, ICE is in the car in front of them. She was following, and she was recording ICE. ICE stops, goes back to talk to her.
How does it feel to be a race traitor?
You know, we were trying to get a child molester, right?
No, you weren't.
Yes, we were.
How would you know?
Because it was a woman you talked to.
His wife?
And then his plate came back as murder.
I was supposed to say, calling someone a race traitor?
But you guys don't care.
I hope you realize that is the most racist thing you can say as a white woman.
Of course,
and
it is.
So you know, this isn't a good look for you.
You think I care about my look?
No, no, trust me.
When you guys
It is evident by how you look, you don't care. We get that, trust me. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying this, trying to be a social warrior. If you actually cared, you probably would care about the child who got raped and also the person who got murdered by the person that we were looking for. But see, you don't care.
No, I don't care because you guys try.
That's it. They're like, no, I don't care. We're looking for a child rapist and a murderer, and you're over here yelling at us, calling us racial slurs. Is that what she was doing? I mean, keep in mind, I didn't play the whole clip, and there's more to it that I would have had to have bleeped out, but this is kind of the part where ICE comes and just slams this lady. And you really don't care about these victims, do you? The ones that were, these people are evading law and doing so, and you're out there supporting them, and you don't care about these victims, do you? And she goes, no, I don't care. Not a good look, lady. All right, you're listening to the Mark Reardon Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in 97.1 FM Talk.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up, ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
100 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors. A century of trust in St. Louis. Always look for the iconic red ribbon of Overhead Door Company of St. Louis for same-day repair service and no extra charge for evening or Saturday service. Trust your friends at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. That's overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The Fox News alert. There's been a mass shooting in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I'm Chris Foster. It happened at an ice rink. Pawtucket Police Chief Tina Gonsalves says 6 people are shot, 3 dead, including the suspect reportedly by suicide.
We had at least one suspect that was deceased at the time. We also have another victim inside Lynch Arena. And then we have just received word that there was a 3rd victim that is now deceased at the hospital. It
appears to have been a family dispute. The Arizona Sheriff's Office investigating the disappearance of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, says all family members have been cleared, and to suggest otherwise is wrong and cruel. The FBI, meantime, is waiting for test results on a glove that could be a clue.
The FBI says that this glove that they are testing appears to match those worn by the suspect we saw on that doorbell camera at Nancy Guthrie's house early hours of Sunday, February 1st, is obviously a lead they really want to follow very closely. Now, the big question is, does that glove come back with its DNA profile matching somebody in the national database that the FBI keeps? If it doesn't, if that person has never committed a crime that would lead to them being in that database, then again, it's yet another dead end.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt at the Pima County Sheriff's Department in Tucson, Arizona. Iran's top diplomat's been meeting with the United Nations nuclear watchdog ahead of a second round of U.S.-Iran nuclear talks tomorrow in Switzerland, mediated by Oman. Robert Duvall died. He was 95 years old after a 7-decade acting career, including Apocalypse Now, Lonesome Dove, his first movies, Kill a Mockingbird, and the Godfather movies, the first released in 1972.
They shot Sonny on the causeway. He's dead.
He said his role in Lonesome Dove was one of his favorites. He was nominated in all for 7 Oscars, winning 1 for Best Actor as a country singer in the 1983 movie Tender Mercies. His last movies came out in 2002. America's listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors In an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
How about a taste of the January thaw in February? We are quite mild right through Thursday. We've got some clouds around tonight, 42. Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy. It's windy, 66 for the high, so the wind will make it feel a little cooler than that. 56 and cloudy Tuesday night. Wednesday, partly sunny, windy, 72 for the high temperature on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Happy to be with you as always. I enjoy when we get to connect at Ryan Recker. Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. Also want to thank our producer, Daniel the Canadian, who is in today, that everyone else said, you know what, I'm off. It's a holiday. It's President's Day. I need out of here. And nope, not for Daniel. He's in here working hard, so I appreciate you being in here, Daniel. And I don't think you're technically Canadian, but I feel like you have it in you. So I would get that lineage checked out. I know it's somewhere down the line there where you'll be surprised. If you went on the Ancestry website,
yeah.
you would find, don't do the DNA test. Whatever you do, do not submit your DNA to any company. That is the stupidest, worst idea for anyone to do. But what I could do is say, just, go online to one of those free family tree websites, and I don't think you have to go that far back before you find a Canadian somewhere in that family tree of
Somebody
yours.
came down from up north somewhere.
I hear it in your voice. I'm pretty sure you are, and you're just not telling me. So Marco Rubio, he represented the United States and gave a word of warning at Munich. And this is so good, I feel like maybe I was just going to play the short version, but I'm going to play a full version here. And normally it's kind of taboo to play 3-4 minute audio clip. That's kind of like, you're not supposed to, you should monologue, you should give your opinion. This is so good that I thought Marco Rubio, much like Pete Seat mentioned last hour, there's a lot of people that are trying to kick the tires to see if they can do a presidential run. AOC ain't doing it. And some of these other Democratic leaders that are over there thinking that they're going to gain a little bit of credibility at being at this Munich conference, the security conference. Marco Rubio went over there and actually hit it out of the park with this speech. So I'm going to play for you. This is like 4 minutes long, but I'm telling you right now, everyone listening, you're going to listen to this and you're going to say, this guy could be the next president of the United States.
For 5 centuries, before the end of the Second World War, the West had been expanding. Its missionaries, its pilgrims, its soldiers, its explorers pouring out from its shores to cross oceans, settle new continents, build vast empires extending out across the globe. But in 1945, for the first time since the age of Columbus, it was contracting. Europe was in ruins. Half of it lived behind an iron curtain, and the rest looked like it would soon follow. The great Western empires had entered into terminal decline, accelerated by godless communist revolutions and by anti-colonial uprisings that would transform the world and drape the red hammer and sickle across vast swaths of the map in the years to come. Against that backdrop, then as now, Many came to believe that the West's age of dominance had come to an end, and that our future was destined to be a faint and feeble echo of our past. But together, our predecessors recognized that decline was a choice, and it was a choice they refused to make. This is what we did together once before, and this is what President Trump and the United States want to do again now, together with you. And this is why we do not want our allies to be weak, because that makes us weaker.
I'm going to pause right here because keep in mind, you had Marco that just laid the groundwork. We're talking to the world leaders on the world stage in Munich. We're talking about a security conference. And we're here as the United States of America saying that we need our allies to be strong in a moment like this. And here he's saying you cannot be weak. Right now, this is not the time to be weak.
And this is why we do not want our allies to be weak, because that makes us weaker. We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength. This is why we do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. And this is why we do not want allies to rationalize the broken status quo rather than reckon with what is necessary to fix it. For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline. We do not seek to separate, but to revitalize an old friendship and renew the greatest civilization in human history. What we want is a reinvigorated alliance that recognizes that what has ailed our societies is not just a set of bad policies, but a malaise of hopelessness and complacency. An alliance is the alliance that we want is one that is not paralyzed into inaction by fear. Fear of climate change, fear of war, fear of technology. Instead, we want an alliance that boldly races into the future. And the only fear we have is the fear of the shame of not leaving our nations prouder, stronger, and wealthier for our children. An alliance ready to defend our people, to safeguard our interests, and to preserve the freedom of action that allows us to shape our own destiny. Not one that exists to operate a global welfare state and atone for the purported sins of past generations. An alliance that does not allow its power to be outsourced, constrained, or subordinated to systems beyond its control. One that does not depend on others for the critical necessities of its national life. And one that does not maintain the polite pretense that our way of life is just one among many, and that asks for permission before it acts. And above all, an alliance based on the recognition that we, the West, have inherited together. What we have inherited together is something that is unique and distinctive and irreplaceable. Because this, after all, is the very foundation of the transatlantic bond.
Oh, man, he should have just dropped the mic right there. Drop that mic. Man, was Rubio good there. Caretakers of the Western decline. My goodness. I thought Rubio was fantastic. And even though it'll probably be J.D. Vance that will be the front runner immediately when we're looking at the next presidential candidates, I'm looking at this and I'm saying the 1-2 punch of J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio is as strong of a 1-2 punch that I've seen in a long, long time. That is so good. I don't know what the left is going to put up, but if it's the AOCs that are out there spouting stuff at the Munich conference, it can't even hold a candle, if I could use that term, to what Marco Rubio just dropped down there. It's not even close. So I have to say, I was only going to play a short version of that, and I was going to play the long one for the audio cut of the day, but I thought, no, it deserves its own segment. Marco Rubio just nailed it over there. So as these leaders start to come back, there's a lot of other things that are going on in the world right now, and one of the big things that are happening in the world is Iran, it looks like, is ready to make a deal. Let me pull this article up, and the New York Post was reporting this. They were the first ones, I think, that started putting it down. It says Iran's diplomat claims, quote, "We are ready to discuss nuclear program if U.S. is prepared to ease sanctions." I think the answer for Donald Trump and everything else is no. We don't ease these things, and then you start dragging your feet and going nowhere. It's not. It's a unconditional terms that Donald Trump is putting down if you want to regain any sort of anything. But why should we even believe you that if you were to come up with some sort of deal, you would keep it to begin with? What is on this main stage right now? And we're talking about security, and if we're going to talk Munich, and I know Iran is not friendly to the United States, but they're not friendly to a lot of other countries in the world. What's going to happen when we say, okay, we'll trust you, and then they're just going to stab us in the back again? Why should we ever play ball with them, diplomat or not? Why should we ever believe them? This is stuff that Donald Trump's got to be dealing with right now at the same time when everyone's jumping on his back about everything nonstop. And he's trying to keep his eye on the prize and saying, we got to work with Venezuela. We got to still bring peace to the Middle East. We're still trying to get this Ukraine-Russia thing done. Oh, yeah, Iran's calling me. He's got his hand in so many different foreign things right now. And at the same time, partial government shutdown. How are we going to fund the government? What kind of compromises are going to be there? We still have immigration issues that he's dealing with. It is just, he's got his hand in so many things right now. It is truly remarkable that we need to see more Rubio. We need to see J.D. Vance picking up some of the slack and hopping in there and showing them that they have the ability to take over the reins if given the opportunity to be president of the United States. This is their chance to really shine, and Rubio took that opportunity, and I think that's what you saw here. All right, when we come back, a lot of issues still going on in the county in St. Louis. Budget problems, Sam Page problems. The guy that has been following this longer than anyone else, Tom Sullivan, joins us after the break. I'm Ryan Renker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Ethos.
Waymo is rolling right along as it brings autonomous driving to more U.S. cities. Alphabet-owned Waymo announced that it raised $16 billion in a new funding round, with the company looking to expand to 20 new cities in 2026, including Las Vegas, San Diego, Tokyo, and London, after delivering 15 million rides in 2025, tripling what Waymo did the year before. I'm Jason Brooks.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-939-1441. 800-939-1441.
Mark Cox for my friends at Zero Res. For 1 week only, you can get a post-Valentine's flash sale. 3 rooms for $109 plus a 4th room free. That's a savings of $161 here in the St. Louis area. You have to book by the 20th of February to get the deal. And remember to tell them that Mark Cox sent you. Go online today to ZeroResSTL.com. That's ZeroResSTL.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
It's a great time, if there's ever a great time, to purchase a furnace or an air conditioner. I know it's winter. We got some great pricing. You can get 0% financing. So if you have been told that you need a new furnace, definitely give me a call. I could probably save you lots of money. Get a second opinion. Call me. Next day installs for your furnace so you won't be without heat. Very long. A furnace average install about 2-3 hours for a furnace. So not a big issue to do it now. And like I said, great pricing. So if that's you, call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Just the easiest number. And there's one. 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, it is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is a St. Louis County legend, a watchdog, Tom Sullivan. How are you, sir?
I am doing fine, Ryan. It's nice to be with you again.
I put you in the legend category for the amount of time you have put into every council meeting over the years. How long have you been following county politics, by the way?
Oh, it goes back to when Gene McNary was county executive. It's been a while.
It's been a little bit, and you've been paying attention, and that's important because I would say if it wasn't for you and some of your work and the paying attention, we have elected officials that should be paying attention. You pay better attention than they do, honestly. And I have to say, when I first saw the story about the county budget problems and the county being broke, I thought, if they would have just talked to Tom Sullivan all along and listened to him, maybe they could have avoided some of this problems to begin with. So I want to go back into where the county sits today with their budget problems. Where does it sit?
Well, they've passed the budget, and right now Sam Page is determined to kick the county council any way that he can, claiming that all these problems are their fault, meaning he wants to close down swimming pools and he wants to reduce hours at county government buildings, on and on. And so basically it's the same old story where they're kicking each other back and forth. And right now we're going to have a county council meeting tomorrow, and they will probably be hitting back on something. So not much has really changed. It's almost like Steve Stenger all over again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we were going to save all this money at Northwest Crossing. We wouldn't have any money problems with all the money we're saving moving these buildings around.
That is quite a story, yeah, all by itself. That was going to save $10 million, and it turns out it may cost $10 to $20 million more. And even more incredible is that the county has to get out of the county government building in Clayton by the end of next year. And who are they negotiating with? Why, the people out at the old Northwest Plaza. And they so far they have not come to terms, but it certainly is ironic that they're negotiating with the developers who they've had trouble with before. If you recall, they gave $365,000 of campaign contributions to Steve Stenger, but of course he said that had nothing to do with the moving to Northwest.
Yeah, nothing to do with it. What is Steve Stenger up to nowadays? Anyway, do we know?
I don't know. He turned in his law license. You can generally get your law license back after a certain number of years, and you kind of make an act of contrition and all that. And all I know is he hangs out at the Starbucks over in University City on Delmar, and beyond that, that's about all I hear about him.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew it was a problem, and there was a lot of things uncovered when it came to Steve Stenger and all the issues with it. I don't think you can underplay just how dirty all of that was. And now we have Sam Page, and there's controversy with Sam Page as well. And from what I understand, he's getting ready to go to trial, isn't he?
That is correct. As of right now, the trial is planned for March 23rd. I have a feeling that they will reach some kind of agreement, which they usually do on these type of things, which is what they did with Steve Stenger. And it depends on all what the plea is. If I was Sam Page and they said, well, we're going to drop the felonies, I would jump on it, but I don't know that he will. He has 4 counts against him. 2 counts are for misdemeanors for election offense. 2 counts are felony stealing. It's a pretty serious matter. And he can either go to trial, in which case he could be exonerated entirely, or he could be found guilty on some of the things, or he can reach an agreement. But if he's found guilty with a felony, he's done as far as county executive goes, and even more importantly, he's done as far as his medical license. He probably makes about $350,000 a year or so as an anesthesiologist. So I think he would be taking a risk if he goes to court, but it remains to be seen what he's going to do.
Yeah, he'll say the wording in the charter is ambiguous. So it says shall not have another job, but it also says shall not have a felony, which doesn't say I can't have a felony. She'll probably say something like that. Well, hold on. So are you partially responsible for the landslide of charges that came against Sam Page? And maybe we should probably cover what's alleged against him.
Well, I filed a complaint against him with the Secretary of State's office. This has to do with there's a law that says you cannot spend public funds to support or oppose a candidate or a ballot measure. Well, Sam Page took like $36,000. He bought these postcards and he paid for the postage, and he mailed them out. And I made a complaint against it. I got all the evidence from the county through a sunshine request, and I sent it to the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State looked at it and said, yeah, there's something here, and they sent it over to the prosecuting attorney. Well, the new prosecuting attorney at the time, Melissa Price Smith, she said that, well, it would be a conflict of me to handle this. So she went to the presiding judge and said, we need to have another prosecutor. Well, the judge sent it over to the attorney general to be the special prosecutor, and then he took it to the St. Louis County grand jury, and then they came out with the 4 indictments. So that's how that all came about, and it's unusual, really, for somebody to. Lots of times these things are not taken very seriously, even though taking money to corrupt an election, I think, is a pretty serious matter. But for the most part, they've all these various school districts and governments, they've gotten away with it for years. So that's kind of what some of the people are saying about Sam Page. Like, why are you bothering him when so many others have gotten away with it? But I'm glad at least that somebody is doing something about it. So we'll see how it all turns out.
Yeah, and the persistence, I give you credit for that, because people have tried and failed and gave up. You don't give up. When you notice something is wrong, you say it's wrong, and you go through the proper way to handle it. In the back of your mind, were you a little surprised that something actually came from this, given how government works?
I was surprised. I've been filing these for a number of years, and most of the time, they just get a slap on the wrist. Years ago, probably one of the worst violations was the St. Louis County Library. I estimated that they spent over $500,000 of public money promoting a tax increase. And of course, they said the same deal about we're just informing the voters, we're just educating the voters, which of course is just a dodge. But at any rate, I filed that one and had quite a lot of evidence, and they more or less gave him a slap on the wrist. They said one of the pieces they didn't have a paid for on it, and they hit him on that, which was like, as I said, it's like giving a parking ticket to people robbing a bank, and that's the usual routine on some of these things.
Yeah, and ultimately the fines paid by who? What, the taxpayer?
Yeah, the fines are so small that it's not that big of a deal, but. This is the first time, really, that the complaint has been taken seriously.
Yep. I know I've been asking you about this for, 5+ years now, because you've been tracking, was it a washing machine and dryer that was purchased through taxpayer money that can't be accounted for? What's going on with this thing? Have you ever found out what happened to this appliance?
I have not given up on this, but I have not yet found what's going on. What happened was Steve Stinger, when Steve Stinger was county executive, his office ordered a washer and a dryer from the Home Depot over on Hanley Road. Well, the obvious question is, where did it go, and why is the county paying for it? And apparently it has some special fund or something. And so far, I brought it up had a new county auditor a few years back, and it was the first thing I brought to her, and she didn't seem much interested in it, and I brought it to the county council. And I'm still trying, and I don't know how you can hide a washer and a dryer. I mean, it's not the things that the county government you see in the county government building, but I have not given up on it.
Right now, I don't want to say it out loud, but can we just say the obvious? There's probably someone using it right now laughing because they got away with it. And I think we all know who it is. But there was so much shenanigans going on with county politics during that time. It seems like there was all kinds of things. Weren't they building like flat screen TVs and crazy amount of stuff that was never seeing the light of day when it came to government use?
Yeah, I think that was the prosecuting attorney Wesley Bell. He was a close colleague and ally of Sam Page, and he more or less got whatever he wanted from some of the COVID money. Yeah, he got all sorts of stuff. They bought new SUVs and flat screens and all sorts of things, and God knows what all that he spent. But getting back to the washer and the dryer, the thing that gets me is the fund that it came from. What else was spent out of there? Maybe somebody bought a new Mercedes for all anybody knows, but nobody has looked into it so far.
Yeah, and now we're broke in the county, so we got that going for us. So people have to start paying attention to things like this, just like you have over the decades. Tom Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Ryan. It's nice to be with you.
Coming up after the break, Bishop Henchman's going to join us, Executive Vice President of the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. Talk about money. The United States is spending. We got an issue. Let's talk to him about that. And Frank Cusumano from KSTK, their sports director, is going to be joining us. Frank's fantastic. Looking forward to talking sports. I'm Ryan Recker. If you want to follow me online at Ryan Recker, or Ryan Recker Radio is the way to do it. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk. Don't go anywhere. Your Money Now coming up.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Uber Eats is bringing artificial intelligence to your next grocery shopping list. The ride-hailing company said that its food delivery platform is debuting a new AI assistant that lets customers build a shopping cart using text or images like handwritten grocery lists. Uber is offering the feature through dozens of large retailers, including Safeway, Albertsons, and Kroger. The demand for bonds right now is insatiable. That's the word from the Wall Street Journal, which says that the extra yield or spread that investors demand to hold highly rated corporate bonds instead of ultra-safe U.S. Treasuries hit a 27-year low in late January. Spreads on speculative-grade corporate bonds dropped to an 18-year low. And the medals that athletes have won during the Olympics in Milan could be far more valuable than in past games because of higher gold and silver prices. At current precious metal prices, the so-called melt value of an Olympic medal, which contains only 6 grams of gold, is around $2,500. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace And then Mirabelle Gardens, featured in The Sound of Music, this and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at Des Peres, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm with my friend Stewie of Bagel Loan fame. Right now, Stewie, people are looking for access to cash, and there are a few ways that you can tap into your home, the equity, to try to get access to that cash. But I want you to tell folks why they need to think about the Bagel Loan.
Well, Annie, I have a great story. We had a customer that went ahead and was driving to a bank to get a home equity line of credit, and this is a bad financial vehicle. The reason it's bad, it's an adjustable rate mortgage. You have a certain term of time that you can take the money out, and then after that, bam, you get hit with a higher rate. These rates can go up and down like a yo-yo. You pay interest only, and before you know it, you started with a certain balance, and guess what? You got the same balance 5 years later. Be smart, refinance the house, take the cash out you need to consolidate the debt, do your home improvements, maybe go on vacation, do what you got to do, but do it with a 30-year or 20-year fixed rate. You'll be way ahead of the game.
And with the Bagel Loan, you pay no dollars in closing costs. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan. NMLS number 226715.
Cutting through the spin. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
It's the Mark Reardon Show. I'm Ryan Ranker, filling in for Mark. And joining us now, Executive VP of the National Taxpayers Union Foundation, Joe Bishop Henchman. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hey, Ryan. Good evening. How are you?
Good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much trouble are we in when it comes to our national debt?
Well, I think people know that it's not looking good. We just did a poll, actually, and 89% of voters say there's an affordability crisis. And right behind that, 88% say the national debt will eventually have a real impact on them and their families. And so we're trying to raise awareness on this right now. Because it's something that we should be thinking about as we go into this election and future elections.
Well, here's, I think, the problem. I don't know if there's any candidate that's really serious about the debt. We were hoping that Donald Trump may be one to, tackle it, but really it's not. So how do you get politicians interested enough to actually do something about the debt as opposed to what they've been doing lately, which is just piling more on?
Yeah, well, the unfortunate answer we're trying to avoid is if things get bad enough and there's no money to pay Social Security benefits, no money to pay troops, no money to pay for healthcare costs that the federal government covers, which is we're not that far away from. We're only the senators being elected in this election will have that happen in their term. In their 6-year term if we don't do something. So I'd like to not wait until we get to that point. I think most people would prefer that we not wait until we get to that point to do something about it. And just it's important for people to know that that's coming. Right now we're at $38 trillion in national debt. It's still going up.
All right. How do we fix it then? Because I think in some ways people would look at their own personal finances and they would Dave Ramsey their family finances and, figure out ways to pay down debt and work strictly on that as much as they can, slim down all the other expenses so they can pay the debt down. How does a country like the United States even tackle that much debt?
Well, it's not much different. And we asked that question, too, in our poll, and 54% of Americans said cutting government spending needs to be the main thing that happens here. And what surprised us a little bit is that was across the board, Republicans, Democrats, independents. So, it's not just a Republican solution for these things. I think everybody, or at least 54% of Americans, realize that government's gotten way too big. It's spending way too much. It's making too many it's involving itself too much in the decisions of the economy and ordinary Americans, and that's where we need to start before it's too late.
Yeah, but how do we do that then? Because we have Donald Trump, who has shrunk the government. We keep seeing cuts being made, and I think it's at its lowest point in like a generation. And we're still spending more money. Like it doesn't matter what we do that might be a step in the right direction. It seems like we're ultimately spending more in the wrong direction at the same time. How do we stop? Like, I really don't know the practical first step to it other than because even if you were to just start cutting more programs, the government shutdown would last longer. Democrats would have nothing to do with it. They want all of these different spending things. We had the Doge come in and even identify some of the most wasteful spending things, and they couldn't even agree on that. This looks bleak to me.
It does, but I try to always be an optimist. Last year, we reformed an entitlement program in this country, and it kind of went under the radar because it was in the same bill that did the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime, and that got a lot of the attention. But we changed how Medicaid operates. And Medicaid, it's the healthcare program for the poor. Lots of fraud and waste and duplication in it. And the bill included some very common sense reforms, could actually even go further, but those reforms are going to bend the cost curve and make it so that this program is growing at about the rate of the economy rather than at twice the rate of the economy, which it was before, which doesn't, maybe that sounds like it's not good enough of a change, but it's more than we had before. But it also showed that this isn't impossible. We can reform entitlements and we can get it done. And so we should take that template and apply it to a lot of the other spending programs too. We've got a lot of duplication out there, multiple different education programs, multiple different farm programs, multiple different poverty alleviation programs. Even the beneficiaries are frustrated at the lack of common sense in how that duplication works and how inefficient it is. And there's a lot of work that could be done there, and people have got to demand that from their elected officials.
Right. And I know there's some things that we don't expect to find. Like, for example, we just had that giant mineral discovery in Nevada, and that could be very beneficial to the United States when it comes to rare minerals and the future of technology and how that might save some money down the line. There's some things that could help us, but you're right about the duplication in government and some of the problems. As soon as you start cutting some of these things, then, what do they say? They say, okay, these people are going to lose their jobs, and it's going to have massive unemployment spikes if we start cutting too far. And that's going to be a bigger issue than the debts. There's always some other consequence that they bring up that's more important than our debt. But how important should we make debt a priority right now? Because right now it doesn't even seem like it's a top 10 priority.
And that's everything you just said is true. I can't really debate any of that, but we need to make it a priority because in 2033 or thereabouts, we're going to have to cut Social Security benefits by about a quarter. That's written into the law because that's how much benefits are going to exceed the tax dollars, the payroll tax dollars that are paying for them. And nobody wants that to happen. And so what can we do to avoid that before we get to that moment? Because when we get to that moment, it's going to really pit everything against each other. And it's going to be even harder than to be able to do it. So something you said is very good, which is, sometimes we get lucky with mineral deposits or AI or everything. I mean, there's things that government can do to make sure that we take advantage of those situations and that we're set up to profit from them and benefit from them without necessarily just staking all of our hopes and dreams onto that happening. And that's some of the stuff we're working on at NTU.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They might find $1 trillion mineral deposit somewhere. They're not going to find 38 more to offset the national debt.
Right.
It would be nice. I get that. So, that's some of the work that you guys do. Polling is part of it, but at the National Taxpayers Union Foundation, a lot of research goes into it. If people wanted to look that research up, where can they go?
Yeah, it's our website, ntu.org. Our goal is to make sure taxpayers are represented in the halls of government, federal, state, local, in the judiciary, in the regulatory agencies. There's always lots of lobbyists fighting for special interests and fighting for the short-term interests. We're there making sure at least one group is working for the long term and for the general interest. So check us out at ntu.org.
Yeah, in California, they seem to have it all figured out. They're just going to tax the rich, and that's going to solve all their problems. Is that what we need to do? We just got to tax our way out of debt?
I think they're already seeing how bad of an idea that is. It's not even passed yet. It's not even on the ballot yet, and a lot of people are moving out of the state in response to that. And that may be a big problem for the state budget this year because about half of their state budget comes from the wealthiest in the state, and so even the governor there is trying to tamp that down and saying that he's against this. That's how bad of an idea it is.
Well, it seems like they were all gung-ho about it. It's going to solve all their problems. They're going to be, the richest state in the country if they do all these things. But I forgot the number of billionaires that already left California. It's sizable. I mean, they're all pretty much fleeing the state as fast as they can. Okay, well, I hope that we have some sort of solution to this. I don't want to wake up in a cold sweat because you're saying within the next 5 to 10 years, we could really hit a massive cliff. And that would fundamentally change our daily lives if we don't correct course now, is essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, and the debt's continuing to go up, and Americans are correct that this is going to impact them. We're already seeing the impact in interest rates. We're already seeing the impact in our leadership in the world. It's a big albatross around our neck, the debt that we're carrying, and there's still time to course correct. So that's what we're trying to spread awareness about.
We need more people to spread awareness about this. And, I mean, it seems like we bring it up and nothing ever happens until I really don't want to know what would have to happen. I guess the Social Security thing, they've been saying that forever. Like my entire life, Social Security won't be there when you're older, but it's always there. They always find a way to make it there. Do you really think there's a threat?
What they've said is that in the 2030s it will go bankrupt. That hasn't changed. They've said that for 20 years. It's just the 2030s are now almost here.
Yeah, but I always feel like they'll find something to fund it. They won't let that go bankrupt. It almost feels like they'll find a way, and it's going to have to come from somewhere, and it's just going to be the next generation, I guess. When it comes time for me to withdraw from it, it won't be there, I guess. But I don't like any of this. All of this scares me. Are we the only country that has problems with this, or is a lot of other countries in the same boat?
A lot of other countries are in the same boat. In fact, that's kind of a saving grace for us, is a lot of countries are almost in a worse situation. And take Europe, for instance, where the taxes that are talked about here to put on rich people, they've already done them, and they've done them for everybody, including the middle class. And so you see that in the economic slowdown and the lack of innovation that's going on over there. And, that's one path for us if we don't course correct.
Got it. All right. Joe Bishop Henchman, Executive VP of the National Taxpayers Union Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Oh, so scary. I wonder how I bring this up to my kids. Kids, don't be afraid, but soon everyone's going to be out of money. And you know how we enjoy eating Spam? Well, get used to it because that's the only thing we'll be able to eat for the rest of our lives. Spam and ramen noodles. Sorry, kids. That's your future if we don't turn it around now. I feel like the movie I just saw, the one where, is it Sam Rockwood? I can't remember the actor's name, but it's the good luck, have fun, don't die. He's a time traveler. He goes back and he says, these devices are ruining the kids' minds, and AI is going to take over the world, and it's going to just ruin everything unless we stop it right now. I feel like we need that time traveler to come back from the future and saying, you got to stop this national debt right now. You have to do it. We need that wake-up call, just like we do with all of the problems with technology. All right, our good old friend Frank Cusumano is going to join us from KSTK. We're going to talk sports with him coming up after the break on 97.1 FM Talk.
Mark Cox here. I get to attend President Trump's State of the Union address, and I'm taking you with me. We'll have real-time reaction and the Mark Cox Morning Show live from the Fox News D.C. Bureau, February 24th and 25th, sponsored by Corral Roofing and Golden Oak Lending.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Home power used to be simple. Now the car plugs in, the scooter plugs in,
the space heater plugs in, and your electric panel starts popping.
That sounds bad, but I like popcorn.
Popcorn is great, sparks are not. Call Grasser. We'll upgrade your panel so you can run it all.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeServices.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
I'm getting older. Do I need to worry about falling?
Yes, you do. Every year, 1 in 4 people 65 and older will experience a fall, and many result in serious injury. The majority of falls happen at home, so take a look around. Replace bulbs and add lighting to help you see obstacles. Remove things that can make you trip. Fix uneven steps and floors, and install handrails in bathrooms and on stairs. Consider balance or strength training exercises, which can help with agility. Get your eyes and hearing checked regularly. Changes in your hearing can affect your balance. To learn more, please talk to your doctor about steps you can take to help prevent a fall. You can also visit aarpfoundation.org or MedicareMadeClear.com/falls. This message was brought to you by United Healthcare and AARP Foundation.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis conservative.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Happy to be with you. Joining us now is the sports director, KSDK sports legend in town, Frank Cusumano. How are you, sir?
Ryan, good to be with you. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Hall of Famer. I think that needs to be said again. All right, there's a lot going on. Winter Olympics. It's interesting to watch the Winter Olympics. And, you know, it's different than the summer, of course, but it's nice having hockey, and it's a fun sport. And, of course, curling. And is there anything particular you're paying attention to at these games?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One is next Sunday at 8 a.m., if it happens, the United States against Canada in the gold medal men's hockey game is going to be riveting because we have, you know, a St. Louis influence in these games like no other. We have the Kachuk boys. We have Clayton Keller, guys that grew up in, you know, Chesterfield and Creve Coeur, facing our St. Louis Blues like Jordan Bennington and Colton Parayko. And the Kachucks are always stealing the show, the way they play the game, the way they talk the game. You'd love to see them do well. But, you know, you don't want Jordan Bennington being lit up in a gold medal game and then coming back to St. Louis with some, you know, a shaky psyche. So I think that's great. And then I think over the weekend, the big thing was Ilya Melanin, who, fell a couple of times and finished in 8th place. This was a guy, Ryan, that we were talking about. Not only is going to win the gold, but will go down as the greatest of all time. Instead, he falls short. It's eerily similar to Simone Biles, another person regarded as the GOAT who did not have a great Olympics either.
I've seen people post online and they said it might be unhealthy for us to constantly call these athletes unbeatable when they're that good. That has to pay a pretty big mental toll on them.
Yeah, especially like Melanin, who's only 21, I believe, and this was his first Olympic. I think he could have made it when he was 17, but they decided to go with like a veteran. You got to wonder if he would have had that experience, if he would have been a little bit better, this weekend in Italy. But look, he's 21. He's got a great opportunity to get his gold one day.
Yep. Well, spring training's underway too. How did this Cardinals club look this year?
Well, it's kind of fun because today, what the Cardinals don't have is a bunch of great players on their present roster. What they do have is a bunch of former Cardinals who are great. And today at spring training, you had Ozzie Smith working with Mason Wynn and J.J. Weatherholt. You had Yadier Molina working with Ivan Herrera and Jimmy Crooks and Bernal, all these fine young catchers. So, look, is that going to help you in July beat the Dodgers? No. But I think it can definitely expedite the learning curve to have these guys teach the game to these young players in spring training.
What do you think is going to happen from a fan's perspective? There's this whole, the broadcast rights. You have the Cardinals and the Blues and FanDuel Sports Network, and there's been all kinds of news about that and switching things over. And, I understand from a fan perspective, that's pretty frustrating when sometimes the technology doesn't work, but now you don't even know where to look at it. So what do you think is going to happen there?
I actually talked to the Cardinal television broadcaster today, Chip Carey, and he simply said this. He goes, it's going to be in a different place, but you're going to be able to find it. So even people that have like the traditional television, whether it's cable or a dish, it will be there. We're just not sure as we speak on this Monday evening where it's going to be. And then for the younger group that want it all on streaming, it's going to be easily obtainable for them. We've been, if we have cable, we've been turning it on 824 or 37 for a long time. It's going to be different, but, everybody's got to adapt and adopt.
I'm an old school guy. I loved being able to watch it on regular over-the-air television when I was growing up. And I think there's only like one owner that does that. It's Ishbia over the Phoenix Suns, where he has like the regular broadcast rights for them. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if they can just go back to the simple over-the-air broadcast where everyone can access it and enjoy it?
I'm with you 100%. In fact, as an NBC affiliate, we would love to be able to just broadcast Cardinal baseball because we know Cardinal baseball gets a better rating than, like any NBC rerun for sure. It would destroy them. But the problem is if you're like an NBC or a CBS or a Fox affiliate, you're obligated to air their network programming. But local sports is still the best way to get a high rating in local television.
Right. Everyone's got the HD channels. You got the sub channels that would be able to help when you needed it. And it would still be over the air. Oh, it would be beautiful that way. And then you don't have to worry about the streaming not working or whatever. By the way, do you have? I know you're always working ahead. You always have your big shows coming up. What are you working on?
Well, right now, because of the Olympics, we're in that mode. We have a guy out there in Milan covering it. But look, the big story for us, though, is Billiken basketball. And now won 18 in a row. They're 24-1. They have a great chance, I think, to run the table and be 33-1 on Selection Sunday if they were to win the conference tournament. And the whole thing is, will they be good enough to get a chance to play in the St. Louis Regional? I know they want to fill these regionals, and that's the way to do it, and reward teams that went, 33-1. So I think that's one of the coolest looming questions in St. Louis sports right now.
Oh, those Billikens making so much excitement around that, and really you need something to be excited about. And there are things, but Billikens are, I think, just blowing people away right now. It's so much fun. Frank Cusumano, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
All right, you take care. Have a good one. Thank you, sir.
You as well. All right, we have another hour of the Mark Reardon Show coming up. It is President's Day. That's why so many people are on vacation today. And you get me in the big seat for another hour. Joining us after the break is Jeff Mordock, is the White House correspondent for the Washington Times. He is, I'm sure, working on some of the stories that you're following, including the government shutdown. But on top of that, the economy, what's going on with the ballroom renovations at the White House as well. And we saw Iranian's diplomat come out and say they're ready to try to make a deal if they loosen up the reins a little bit. That could be an interesting thing. Jeff Mordock coming up after the break. I'm Ryan Recker, 97.1 FM Talk.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pella window replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
42% of Missouri fourth graders can barely read. 42%. It's the worst result in 20 years. If kids can't read by third grade, they fall behind in school, and many never catch up. But other states have provided a roadmap for success. Missouri needs one universal reading test for all third graders and one clear statewide standard for what it means to pass that test. A struggling reader who still can't read after extra help and a second chance at the test should repeat third grade with some exemptions. We also need to end the outdated 3Qing method, which encourages guessing instead of reading, and require teachers to be trained in the science of reading. In Mississippi and Indiana, test scores jumped up dramatically after these reforms, and Missouri can do the same. Missouri children deserve to become confident, capable readers, and strong early literacy reforms can make it happen. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by the Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Whether you're chilly, too warm, or need a hand with your home's power and lights, you know to call Jerry Kelly.
Well, if Jerry did plumbing, I'd have one solution to everything in this house.
Makes sense to us. So now, if you sprang a leak, need a new water heater, or have hard water...
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Jerry will fix the leak, install the thing, and make that hard water easy. Yeah, easy water. From a pro plumber at
JerryKelly.com.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Shooting at a high school hockey game. I'm Lee Silasera. It happened in Pawtucket, Rhode Island this afternoon.
The city's police chief, Tina Gonzalez, says in this early stage of the investigation,
we had at least one suspect that was deceased at the time. We also have another victim inside Lynch Arena. And then we have just received word that there was a third victim that is now deceased at the hospital.
Chief Gonzalez said this tragedy may have stemmed from a domestic matter. She added 3 other people were shot and are in the hospital with serious injuries. Police are hoping to discover what specifically led to this deadly incident.
Fox's Colonel Scott, the Pima County Sheriff's Office says the Guthrie family has been ruled out in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
The sheriff is trying to put that to bed once and for all, saying in a statement, and I'll quote here, "To be clear, the Guthrie family, to include all siblings and spouses, has been cleared as possible suspects in this case. The family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case. To suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Tucson. Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her Tucson home January 31st and was reported missing the next day. Authorities have said they believe she was forcibly taken from her home. Her blood was found on the porch. The FBI releasing doorbell camera footage of a man in a ski mask and gloves and wearing a backpack on Guthrie's front porch. A powerful winter storm slamming California.
Today, we're going to get about potentially a foot of snow here. Tomorrow, well, that's the blockbuster. Many feet will begin, and that will go all the way through Wednesday, even into Thursday. We'll just have to continue to watch.
Fox Weather's Robert Ray in South Lake Tahoe. Al Pacino remembering his Godfather co-star Robert Duvall, calling him a born actor. Duvall's death was announced today. He was 95. America is listening to Fox News.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
How about a taste of the January thaw in February? We are quite mild right through Thursday. We've got some clouds around tonight, 42. Tuesday, partly to mostly cloudy. It's windy, 66 for the high, so the wind will make it feel a little cooler than that. 56 and cloudy Tuesday night. Wednesday, partly sunny, windy, 72 for the high temperature on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker. Happy to be with you on this President's Day. Happy President's Day to you. Joining us now, White House correspondent for the Washington Times. You can find him there. Jeff Mordock, welcome into the show.
Happy President's Day to you, Ryan.
Happy President's Day. It's got to be pretty quiet in D.C. lately. It seems like most of the lawmakers are out or out of the country.
Yeah, it is, but it's never quiet. It's never quiet in D.C. They can all go to Germany and celebrate. It's still plenty of people here to make noise.
Yep. Well, we'll talk about that. But given it is President's Day, I'll put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite president?
Oh, you did put me on the spot.
I'll tell you mine if you'd like.
Yes, sure.
Well, I really respect Ulysses S. Grant. I think that you have the Civil War. He was a fantastic mind when it came to helping the Union win. Given all of his downfalls, problems with alcoholism and everything else, still found a way to get it together, lead the country, and then become president of the United States. I love that story. So he's my favorite president.
That's awesome. I will tell you, I have some that I'm interested in. I will tell you my son's favorite before I tell you my son's favorite is Rutherford B. Hayes, because Rutherford B. Hayes is the only president to have a miniature schnauzer in the White House, and my son has a miniature schnauzer, and his favorite dogs are miniature schnauzers. So when anybody asks him, they had to do like a whole presidential project. He's in 5th grade. He did Rutherford B. Hayes and just wrote about him having a miniature schnauzer. So
I love it. I love it. That's what the research that goes into something like that. Did he find that on accident, or did he really go out and try to find historic schnauzer owners?
Well, what we did is, So the White House every year does Take Your Child to Work Day on Take Your Child to Work. So he came with me, and they had these books out for kids, and one was on presidential pets. And he loves animals. So we were scrolling through it, and he found that Rutherford B. Hayes has the exact same dog that we have. And then after that, all he's talked about is Rutherford B. Hayes.
I guess Donald Trump's unique in that way. He doesn't have any pets, does he?
No, and he doesn't like pets either. And I think, I don't know, I'm a big fan of presidential pets too. I don't think that impacts my opinion of the president, of any president one way or the other. But I think it looks good to always have a pet, just because I think people connect with pet owners a little bit better. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so what is going on in D.C. lately? What are people doing with a partial government shutdown and people, working remote? What kind of business is getting done there this time of year?
Well, not much is getting done, and a lot of it is because we're still digging, believe it or not, we're still digging out from the snow, and a lot of people are still playing catch-up on that. So it's been kind of, business. I mean, the government was almost shut down for a week because even the slightest bit of snow, the schools close and the government shuts down. But what's frightening is that we have agencies now that in a part of this partial shutdown that are the agents that help low-income Americans. And I kind of wonder, for the Democrats who are pushing this narrative of affordability, if this is almost going to be taken off the table if you're going to hold these agencies that provide and support low-income Americans to hold them hostage for your demands for ICE. That seems like that hands the Republicans a talking point, on top of the fact that we had incredible inflation numbers on Friday.
Right. Well, we also saw, I guess, if we're looking at the positives and negatives, well, the inflation number's good. They just revised those job numbers down by a lot. That was a shock to me.
That was a shock, and that's sort of creating an out for Jerome Powell in the Federal Reserve, because when they get criticized for not lowering interest rates because of the inflation numbers, that's the one thing that they can point to is the fact that the job numbers had to be revised down by a lot. It kind of undermines the president's argument a little bit that interest rates should be a lot lower than they are.
Do you see Jerome Powell at all? Does he hang around D.C.? Does he linger?
He not really. He doesn't. I wouldn't say he's always here. He's always a presence, but he doesn't really linger. He doesn't seem like he involves himself in other things outside of the Fed. I mean, he'll go to events and things like that, but we don't see him insert himself into things like a lot of other people around here do.
Got it. So what's the update on the ballroom renovation? I saw some aerial shots of it. It still looks like they're, clearing the area out. And it seems like one of the latest reports were that there might be a stoppage and it might take longer to build than they anticipated.
That's correct. It looks like it's taking. It's interesting how much this has changed from when the president first proposed it. The square footage has changed. The size has changed. Now they were like, well, it's only going to affect the East Wing. Now they're going to make some changes to the West Wing to try to make them even spaced. It's amazing how much from what we've heard from when this project was pitched to where we are now. The president still is trying to get this through a lot of the committees, the historic committees, the preservation committees that sort of run these things. That's almost a rubber stamp because he put one of his top advisors in charge of one of those committees. But it's still a process. But I think what's interesting is how many times the White House story has changed on this.
Yeah, and well, even right off the bat, the way that they were going to, okay, we're only going to take this portion down. Now we're taking this portion down, and now here's the renderings, but now the renderings are useless. We're going to do these renderings. Yeah. And I think that people are pointing out at this pace, it's not going to be done by the end of this presidency. So President Trump will be out of the office by the time this is complete. So he's not going to really, it's going to be for the next president.
That's right. And it's going to be, I'm curious to see, especially if we get a Democrat in 2028, there's a lot of aesthetic changes the president has made that I'm curious to see if they keep. One of them is that he turned the Rose Garden into a patio. He's added the sign that says Rose Garden. I assume the Hall of Presidents that he has set up is easy to go because it's just pictures of former presidents. They can take all that down. And it was really honestly only set up to take a shot at Joe Biden because they wanted to have that auto pen picture. That's the whole reason for it, is so they could kind of make fun of Joe Biden. So I think that's the first thing to go, and that's easy. But some of these bigger changes, like what are they going to do? Because especially we see a lot of Democrats out there saying, oh, if a Democrat gets into 2028, all this stuff, the triumphal arch, all of that has to go. We're curious to see when the stuff's halfway done what the appetite really is for that, or if the outrage remains now that, Trump will be out of office. But this isn't the only thing. Like, you look at all the stuff like his Garden of Heroes. There's no way that's going to be done by the end of his administration. The Triumphal Arch, if he moves forward with that, that's not going to be done by the end of his administration, even all the changes they're making to the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, no, all of these major renovations. How long have you been covering the White House now?
Since 2021.
Okay. So we've seen times where it's a little bit slower during Joe Biden, and then it kicks right back up with Donald Trump. Does your work in the amount of work you have to do change between the presidencies? I mean, when there's so much going on with the Donald Trump presidency versus what seemed like a lot of downtime during the Biden administration, does that change the way you report in your work load?
It changes the workload because it gives you more time to dig into stuff and do enterprise. Whereas with President Trump, you're drinking from a fire hose. I have to rely on my colleagues more to do the digging and get involved because I'm jumping from one thing to another to another. I mean, even just today, it was a federal holiday, and I've got stories in the paper about his lawsuits on media bias, his fighting with the governors of New Jersey and New York over the Gateway Rail Tunnel project, his Board of Peace meeting that's coming on Thursday. That's a lot for a federal holiday for a guy who's supposed to be off today. It's his day,
right.
So
you said your son's in fifth grade currently, or is this
That's
back
correct.
when he learned about the Schnauzer? Okay, I also have a son
he's in fifth grade. Yeah.
So
It's a fun
our
age.
sons
It's a
are
fun age.
similar age. And it's funny because he wants to do his own thing. He has zero interest in what I do for a career. He wants to do computer coding. He is super into programming, video games, things like that. He's got his own career path ahead of him. What about your son? Does he want to follow in your footsteps at all?
No, not at all. He loves animals, and he was thinking being a vet or working at a zoo or things like that. And what's so funny is because so much of my job is waiting around for the president, because presidents are never on time. And I've talked to veterans who go back to the Clinton era, and they'll tell me the only president who was ever on time for anything was George W. Bush. Every other president was super late. And I remember take your child to work to enter the Biden administration. It was a lot of waiting around for different things. And at the end of the day, I said to him, I was like, well, what do you think of what I do? And he's like, well, I think it's interesting, but I don't like all the waiting around. And I'm like, well, welcome to the job.
Yeah. Do you find that as a relief in some way? Like, I'm actually relieved my son doesn't want to do the same things I do. It makes me actually feel better for his future, honestly.
Well, me too, because I don't know where journalism is headed. You see the Washington Post just dumped 300 reporters on the unemployment line here in Washington. Papers are shrinking. So I'm actually relieved too, because I just wonder about the future of the industry.
It's a wild world. He's upstairs right now playing Nintendo Switch and couldn't be happier to have a day off. And I'll tell him, if you're listening, you follow my footsteps, you're working holidays, kid. Don't be like me. Jeff Mordock, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. And, I enjoy even talking about the non-political things like this. You're a very interesting person, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you saying that. Thanks. I really enjoyed talking with you about everything, Ryan. I hope we can do it again.
I hope so, too. White House correspondent for the Washington Times. If you do a quick search for the Washington Times and Jeff Mordock, you can find his work on there, and you should go follow him, and you should write him a nice letter once in a while, because not enough people write Jeff nice letters, but they should. I'm Ryan Recker filling in
And if
for
you own
Mark
a schnauzer,
Reardon.
I'd love to hear from you too.
Schnauzer pictures. Well, I don't know. I don't want that to be misinterpreted, but I love getting pictures of listeners' pets, to tell you the truth. It always makes me happy when it's something positive like that, Jeff. I got to tell you. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. You have a great President's Day.
You as well. It's the Mark Reardon Show. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details. Zero Res wants to give your home a little extra love this week only. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109, plus get a 4th room free. Book online by February 20th at ZeroResSTL.com, and don't forget to mention Mark Cox sent you.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623. 800-499-6623.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Imagine this, a summer evening, relaxing under a beautiful porch overhang, hosting your friends on a composite deck, or enjoying a bug-free breeze in a screened room. That sounds dreamy, right? Hi, it's Kim, and that dream can be your reality with Lakeside Renovation and Design because they specialize in creating outdoor spaces that make your backyard the go-to spot for family and friends. And with their attention to detail and the high-quality materials they use, you'll have a space that lasts for years. Visit LakesideRD.com today to get started on your outdoor oasis.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker. And really enjoying our time together and fantastic guests that everyone set up. Big thanks to our producer, Fred, and, of course, our producer back in the studio now, Daniel the Canadian. And I was looking at a story from the New York Post, and they were talking about some of the side effects of these GLP-1 drugs. And producer Daniel the Canadian, you don't have to worry about this. You're young enough. It looks like you're in good health. You play hockey, so just like a good Canadian does, yeah. So you don't have to worry about injecting yourself for weight loss. These GLP-1s apparently have some pretty big side effects. Do you know the side effects of Ozempic and these other drugs? And we're talking about the ones that you have to inject yourself to get the weight loss.
I don't,
Are you ready?
But there's so many people that are even my age that I know that are taking stuff like that. And it's a little disconcerting because right now we're kind of at the prime time where just eating a little healthier and getting more exercise will help you shave off those couple pounds.
Yeah, and I should take that advice. But Mike Tyson's out there. You see his ads for eat real food, essentially. None of this processed junk. He's like, eat real food. That's his goal right now, and I think he's been working with the Trump administration for healthy food initiatives that are going on. Good for Iron Mike Tyson to do that. I think that's fantastic. So if you're taking GLP-1s, you may know this, but here are the most common symptoms: nausea, stomach pain, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. Now, some of the other things, side effects people have noticed is that through the trials, sagging jowls, sulfurous burping, so like the sulfur smell, runny nose, and a host of other strange issues. But if your breath starts to smell like sulfur, rotting eggs, and I don't know, you're skinny, you're happy, but man, that's a tough side effect, isn't it?
That's awful.
Everyone's going to notice that. I guess if you're working from home, yeah, that is pretty bad. But I know that they're pretty much lowering the cost of these things. It's becoming more affordable. Do you need a doctor's prescription, I guess, to still get this? But they got the pill now. You don't have to get the jab. So I think they're really relying on this to make people healthier through these drugs. But the other side effects to these things could be very, very damaging, and some people can't take it, even if they were given the prescription from a doctor and told that they should do it. So I just wanted to let you know, sagging jowls and rotten egg breath are some of the side effects. I heard the commercial with Mark Cox that he's going to be at the State of the Union address, and I didn't realize that's next Tuesday, the 24th. That is around the corner. That's going to be here before you know it. It's good for Mark Cox to be getting an invite. That's going to be pretty cool for him to be out there. I saw this other story. Voter trust in U.S. elections drop amid Trump critiques, redistricting, fear of ICE. And the LA Times did this story, and they did a poll of about 11,400 voters surveyed between mid-December to mid-January. 60% said they were confident that midterm votes will be counted fairly, down from 77 who said such confidence in votes counting shortly after the 2024 presidential election. What I find really interesting in all of this, when it comes to, people say, oh, you're an election denier, or you're a fair election denier, or you're this, that, or that. So they lay out these conspiracies, and now the left are the ones that are believing in the conspiracies, because their conspiracies are that if you are requiring someone to show an ID to vote, then you're disenfranchising people. And one of the biggest arguments to that is Democrats in unison right now, and even in some states you have political leaders saying that showing an ID to vote, which is something that they want to do on a federal level, showing an ID to vote, and let's say you just got married and your last name doesn't match, then you're not allowed to vote. Well, all of these things have been thoroughly debunked, but they're still saying it. Like MSNBC, here's how MSNBC is doing this. Let me press play here. And this is liberal Senator Alex Padilla.
Providing citizenship proof every time you vote, right? You guys do audit the voter rolls. So the point is, you know who's on it. You make adjustments. You audit. You throw people off and you put extra people on. This is not a thing. I mean, I literally talk about discouraging people from voting. Women who've changed their names that don't match their birth certificate. Their married name doesn't match their birth certificate. Their license doesn't match their birth certificate. This is nonsensical.
No. Okay, I'm just going to pause it right there, because that was MSNBC, and that was their commentator. When it comes to purging voter rolls, purging voter rolls, the Democrats are the ones in these liberal states before the election that dragged their feet because they didn't want to do it. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of people that should have been purged off these rolls, but they left it on there, and they said, don't worry, if you're not allowed to vote, you're not going to be allowed to vote. Well, guess what? If you weren't allowed to vote and you still cast a ballot, it would have been counted that day. And particularly in these states like the one I live in Michigan right now, they wouldn't be able to pull it out after the fact. And the only way you would be able to tell is if the person self-reported it after the fact. And all of these different voter rolls that they drag their feet, it seemed to happen in these liberal areas, especially swing states. It's such a weird coincidence, isn't it? So they're saying, okay, the safeguard is, one, you have to be a U.S. citizen to be eligible to vote, and two, show an ID that proves you're a U.S. citizen who's eligible to vote. It's very simple. Democrats don't want that happening. They are scared senseless that these ballot box dumps and things that have been caught on camera, and then people that are like, trying to slide under the radar are just going to go and, not show that they're a U.S. citizen or a valid person that could vote, that they would be able to just not be caught. And they'll be caught if you have to show an ID. So that's what they're afraid of. And here's what Senator Alex Padilla said about it.
Right, absolutely nonsensical. I mean, to insist on bringing your birth certificate or a passport. A lot of Americans don't even have a passport because not everybody travels internationally. It's the equivalent of a show me your papers law to be able to exercise.
Okay, so of course it goes to Nazi immediately.
Papers law. To be able to exercise your fundamental constitutional right to vote. And who would be impacted? The SAVE Act may sound good in some quarters. One big example is what you just said. A woman who may choose to change her name when she gets married, all of a sudden her birth certificate name is different than her ID, and that becomes a problem.
Now, all of this has been so far debunked, but they're trying to come up with any excuse they can to allow these states, particularly the pretty liberal areas that are loosey-goosey when it comes to voter ID, and that's nonsense to me. So here's House Majority Whip Tom Emmer.
We passed the Save America Act yesterday. It's a very simple bill that Republicans, Democrats, and others in this country all believe is fair. One, when you register to vote, you have to prove citizenship. I'm a citizen of the U.S. Only U.S. citizens should be voting in U.S. elections. Two, when you appear to vote, when you appear at your precinct to cast a ballot, you should have a photo ID. And these guys are doing the same old broken record about voter suppression, all this. Really? Why aren't they screaming about photo IDs at the airport? Why aren't they screaming about photo IDs when you check out a book at the library? By the way, if they think it's voter suppression, why do they require photo IDs at the Democrat National Convention to get in? I mean, I think Americans are so much smarter than these people can understand, can let themselves understand.
This is what I find. I'm going to go back to the poll that came out from the LA Times, and as I mentioned this before, 60% said they're confident that midterm votes will be counted fairly. 82% of Republicans expressed at least some confidence in the vote. 65% said that they felt that way in the latest survey. Among Democrats, confidence dropped to 64%. Among independents, down to 57%. So if you go back to 20 whatever elections, just go back to the last couple of elections, we'll say presidential elections. The ones that are the conspiratorial ones now are the liberals, the ones that were shouting, hey, we have the most fair elections, we have this and that. There's no way you could ever challenge or question the integrity of elections. Now it's so funny we're coming up to a midterm election. It's the liberals that are yelling and shouting that, you know what, it's their time to be conspiratorial, and we've figured it all out. And now it's the Republicans are the ones that are going to suppress this. So they're on that end. The ones, exactly what they said, you have to be able to trust the system, the people that are there, and everything that's in there. Now they say you can't trust it if you have to show an ID. So we're going to abandon everything that we said before leading up to this point. It's completely flipped in the way that we've seen the last couple of elections. All right, we do have the audio cut of the day, which we're going to do a little bit later. And let's talk a little bit about public schools and their roles when it comes to ICE. That is a topic we're going to get to next. I'm Ryan Ranker, filling in for Mark Reardon, 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked. unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit throttlenet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
We depend on our roofs to keep us dry and protected year-round. That's why the roofing company you choose is so important. Mark Cox here for my friends at Correll Roofing Company. You can trust my friend Curtis Correll. And here's one thing he'll tell you right now, and it's his experience. A lot of roofing companies will try to install roofs when the temperature is below freezing. And here's what you need to know. Curtis has been praised by a lot of people in the industry because he will not install a roof on those cold days. He said that shingle manufacturers will deny warranty claims if that roof is installed on a sub 40 degree day. Did you know that? That's why honesty is important. If your insurance company has denied coverage for your roof, call Curtis at Correll Roofing. He loves working with insurance companies. He would be happy to get a second assessment from them. Call him at 314-222-9529. Tell him Mark Cox sent you. You can go online anytime at CorrellRoofingCo.com.
From High Ridge to Pontoon Beach, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
And welcome back. I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Joining us now is an investigative reporter that specializes in education, reporter for Defending Education, previously worked as a writer for Fox News Digital. Kendall Tietz, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
So maybe we should start with a little bit of groundwork. What role do you think a PTA has when it comes to training parents and faculty and students on ICE agents? Do you think they have some sort of role where they have to somehow engage in training for future ICE visits potentials?
Well, we would argue that there is not a space where the PTA should wade into that. I think that, just to back up a little bit, so your audience is kind of aware of what we reported on at Defending Education, basically a countywide PTA, Montgomery County Council of PTAs, promoted this ICE response meeting. It was a training for parents and PTA leaders that included guidance framed around helping families get to and from school safely, potentially even evade ICE. And it took place with a council member, a Montgomery County council member. And, the title was, quote unquote, ICE Response and Organizing Tools for PTAs, Parents, and Guardians. So to answer your question, I think that, the PTA obviously is a structure that is composed of parents, teachers, and staff, and it should be about enhancing the educational environment, involving parents, obviously, in school activities. But I think that we've taken it a little bit too far when they are now promoting quote unquote ICE response in the PTA meetings. That's, I don't think should be the focus, especially when, reading, writing, math numbers are abysmal in our country right now.
No, it's terrible. Literacy rates, I mean, in a lot of different states are problems. I don't even think we have a problem with ICE entering school zones right now, do we?
So according to my research, Montgomery County has not had an instance where ICE came onto school property. So I think in a way you could almost make the argument that this is ginning up fear. It's creating this idea that this is happening, that you need safe, quote unquote, safe passage school routes for, pickup and drop off if this hasn't even been a problem. So I think that you raised a good point there.
Yeah. Well, my wife's part of the PTA. She participates because I think a lot of times they have a hard time finding parents that want to volunteer to do this sort of thing. So is it just a small amount of parents that may overrepresent other parents that would never want to do this? I mean, is it just a reflection of those who may have raised their hand more than anything else?
It seems to me, so according to our research, this meeting was, proposed by the Montgomery County Council of PTAs. So I believe that it's likely the leaders of that PTA group who put this forth. And I think you're exactly right. Obviously, the average PTA member is not thinking that this is the forefront issue. And it's likely people at the top who thought this was a good idea. But like I said, I think most people are like your wife, and they just want to, volunteer at their kids' school and help out where they can.
Yeah, and I saw that there was another story out of Chicago. I think there was a teacher that tweeted "Go ICE" or something like that, something pro ICE, and he was fired. So there's a lot of it's interesting because I would almost think that if you were someone involved with a school, you'd want to stay as neutral as possible, understanding the atmosphere that we're in, that maybe it's best that you stay out of this one because people want you to stay out of this one. It's not your place to go and try to dictate how to handle law enforcement or counter law enforcement inside of any place, a business or school zone.
Yeah, so I think that you're exactly right, and I think that we need to be mindful of that. And this could even be seen as just. I do think that you're right. There's a double standard. We've seen instances where teachers are definitely being very promotional of their anti-ICE efforts, but the minute maybe a teacher says, "Wait, I'm in support of this," I mean. You could argue both ways. Maybe, like you said, we shouldn't even be talking about this politically charged topic in schools, but we've definitely seen instances of that where there is a double standard. And, teachers are fired, for example, or told that they can't have one opinion, but if they have the right opinion, maybe the more progressive opinion, I think, in typically what we've seen, that's allowed. So that double standard is also a really important point. I agree.
Yeah. Can I talk to you about some more education issues? And, it may not be your expertise, but it'll be I'm curious.
Sure.
We see that in a lot of different areas, we're pumping so much money into schools. And, every time they put a new budget together, we got to get more money for schools. We got to get more money for programs. And the literacy rates are like stagnant. They're not getting any better. Our kids aren't improving, even though we're pumping more money into it. Is this just a reflection of us still trying to catch up from all the pandemic problems where we really stunted our kids' growth? Or is there something else going on here that you may recognize that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, so you raise a good point that, we've seen money has been pumped into schools specifically after COVID. There were these packages that, schools were just given a boatload of money. And I think oftentimes you see maybe in these inner cities or blue states or just big cities in general, they're spending a lot of money per student. But it doesn't mean that there's higher outcomes. In fact, you've seen some success in red states where, the average spending per pupil is actually lower, and they have higher scores or, proficiency rates because maybe they're doing something different, and they're focusing on reading, writing, and math instead of student activism. So I think that money to pupil aspect is important to point out, because it does not always lead to higher outcomes. More money doesn't mean that your students are going to know how to read.
Yeah, and I just did a quick search. This is one of the more latest statistics. It might be a couple of years behind, but 23% of St. Louis City students are proficient in reading. 23%. That is pathetic, and it's terrible in some of these really big areas, particularly blue areas, if we, without making it too political. Why is that? Why do we see, in cities that are predominantly left-leaning, that we see these terrible rates in schools and crime and all these other trends? It seems to be, anywhere you look, it seems to be the same story.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a theme that we definitely see throughout the country. I think that a lot of blue cities do have, worse reading proficiencies, and I think that post-COVID, these schools have just made choices, and I think we've seen at least one of the reasons. I'm speculating here, but one of the reasons is, everything's become so political, and the focus is on DEI. Race and gender, and unfortunately, the focus should just be on phonics. Can your students read? Can they? Are you sending them on to the next grade without that basic proficiency, just because you're trying to rush them out of the system, for example? So, I think that obviously urban areas face oftentimes more inner city students, and as I always say, it's a shame because it's just hurting those students more. Those are the students who need to have a solid education to get a leg up in the world, in the country, I guess I should say.
They're talking about, I guess, basically reassigning the duties of the Department of Education into other departments. Do you think that would be a good thing, getting rid of the Department of Education and handling education on a state level?
Yeah, I think that the Department of Education has shown that they're able to, offshoot some of their duties and hand them off to different, what's the term? The Department
different departments. Yeah.
Exactly, the Health and Human Services, Department of Labor. So you have instances where other groups can take that on, and they can really handle that. And I think that we should see what they can do. And I think it's been a mission of the Republican Party for a long time now, and the current administration seems very eager to make it happen.
I think a lot of what they've found, and it's tough too when you're talking about allowing kids to go to different schools than out of their district, and the money follows them. Homeschooling's become a more popular option for them too. But I find that when you get into certain districts and you look at the history of the district and the school's not improving and it's been terrible for a while, you're putting parents in a pretty tough situation to say you have to take your kid to this school where they're going to have a rough time and it's constantly getting a failing grade. I think a lot of parents are waking up and they like the idea of them being able to take their kids somewhere else, that they would have a better chance in life. And it's scaring a lot of these inner city schools because they're, the more kids that leave, the less funding they receive per pupil, and that's going to have a negative consequence all the way around. So is there a right answer to the way to solve some of these problems we're seeing in schools? Is there something we can do to make everyone happy?
Well, we're never going to make everyone happy, unfortunately. But I think that you do see that where there is, a failing school and parents are pulling their students out. I mean, you see that in New York City, for example. They want more rigor. They want to be able to put their kid in the gifted and talented programs. And that means that people with the means especially are the ones who will take their dollars elsewhere. And I think that is obviously a feature of a system where people can vote with their feet. And that is, I think, failing school should be mindful of that. If a child is going to graduate at the age of 18 and not be ready to go on to college, of course parents aren't going to want to send their kids there. I understand in public schools sometimes you don't have the choice, but that's definitely not desirable. And once again, to just kind of quote the left, it's the most marginalized who are hurt by decisions like that, and I think it's worth pointing that out over and over.
Great. You are an investigative reporter for Defending Education. Kendall Tietz, if people wanted to look up some of your work or find you online, where can they go?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Kendall_Tietz, and you can find my work published in various outlets, as well as our website, defendinged.org.
Great. Defendinged.org.
Awesome.
Kendall Tietz, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. One more segment with the audio cut of the day next on 97.1 FM Talk.
Never miss a beat. Take 97.1 FM Talk with you. The voices you trust, Mark Cox, Annie Fry, Mark Reardon, Scott Jennings, and more are just a tap away with the Odyssey app. Stream 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley, and this is the sound of our attorneys walking into court. Because when an insurance company offers a lowball settlement, we go to trial, prepping endlessly, interviewing witnesses. We know the loss and the cost of an accident, and when it's needed, we go to war for you and take the fight to the insurance company, because we've been in your shoes. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-777-7777.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Triton Exteriors, St. Louis Roofing, Siding, and Gutter Systems. We'll take care of you and your home. We're #1 in the Ladue, Kirkwood, and Webster area. James Hardy certified. Visit Triton.stl.com to be connected with a James Hardy expert and receive a free estimate. Triton-stl.com or call 314-717-1159. That's 314-717-1159. Triton Exteriors, St. Louis #1 James Hardy specialists. Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
And I'm Ryan Recker, filling in for Mark Reardon. Happy to be with you today. Got one last segment. Go ahead and follow me online at Ryan Recker on Twitter, Ryan Recker Radio on Facebook. That would be a nice way to connect with you. All right, we do have the audio cut of the day. Let's do that now.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Marco Rubio is just killing it right now, and he was at the Munich Security Conference. He gave a speech and basically said, we need our allies to be strong, so when we fight together, we fight strong. And he had a great message. He's like, listen, you're losing your identity. You are weakening yourselves. You are, what was the term he used? You're a caretaker of your own decline. Ooh. I wanted to play part of this. This is the shorter version of his longer speech as the audio cut of the day.
Many came to believe that the West's age of dominance had come to an end, and that our future was destined to be a faint and feeble echo of our past. But together, our predecessors recognized that decline was a choice, and it was a choice they refused to make. This is what we did together once before, and this is what President Trump and the United States want to do again now, together with you. And this is why we do not want our allies to be weak, because that makes us weaker. We want allies who can defend themselves so that no adversary will ever be tempted to test our collective strength. This is why we do not want our allies to be shackled by guilt and shame. We want allies who are proud of their culture and of their heritage, who understand that we are heirs to the same great and noble civilization, and who together with us are willing and able to defend it. And this is why we do not want allies to rationalize the broken status quo rather than reckon with what is necessary to fix it. For we in America have no interest in being polite and orderly caretakers of the West's managed decline.
Oh, what a fantastic, fantastic point made by Marco Rubio. Good for him. He was sounding good there. All right, that was your audio cut of the day. I got a couple of other clips I want to play, too. And it's so funny because I keep seeing these things pop up on social media, and it's a clip from CNN, and it looks like they were interviewing Eric Swalwell, and most notably known for shagging a Chinese spy and farting live on air and then denying it. He definitely cut one and denied it was him. So that's the two things he's known for. And CNN just smacked down. And apparently he said some things about Donald Trump and the Epstein files. And CNN had to make a correction on air that said Trump has not been accused of any wrongdoing, because I think they realize that Donald Trump ain't playing that game. And just like the BBC and just like ABC and some of these different networks, he will set the record straight with a lawsuit, and he ain't playing. I saw this too. Scott Jennings, I thought, made a really good point about these Epstein files with Donald Trump.
There are new details that sharply undercut years of media and Democrat speculation and assertions about Donald Trump. Newly released FBI interview records confirm that Trump personally contacted Florida police in 2006 during the original Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and not to shield Epstein, but to support law enforcement going after him. According to the former Palm Beach police chief, Trump called investigators and praised them for pursuing the case. He warned about Epstein abusing underage girls. Trump also flagged Ghislaine Maxwell as evil, and he urged the police in Florida to focus on her role in recruiting victims. This is all in the Epstein files. Trump was right. The entire narrative around him and Epstein was a hoax.
You know, and it's so interesting to see how they are spinning these Epstein files. The way that they spin it, and they say, Donald Trump lied and said he had no knowledge of Epstein's wrongdoing. And when you go back and look at the files, they're like, look, he did have knowledge, but they fail to point out his knowledge was reporting him. That should be, I mean, honestly, that early on should get a lot of praise compared to the people that kept enabling him. He was reporting them. And it still went on and on. Tucker Carlson had a rant about this, too, about the Epstein case.
That's why everyone's so mad about Epstein. It's not just about the sex, which is grotesque. It's the fact, which is a fact, that certain people in our society can do whatever they want. And if you take the bad deduction, you're going to go to jail under tax law. There are two standards, and that's unfair. And every human heart rebels against that because it's against the law of the universe. And that law is really simple. We are all human beings, all created by God with the spark of God inside us, no matter who we are, Kim Jong-un and you. And therefore, on some level, we have to be treated equally.
Right. Okay. That's where he said certain people of a society get treated and they can do whatever they want. And that's making a lot of people upset because if you allow them to get away with this, you're proving that's what happens. And he makes a fantastic point, I think, with all of this. Wow. What a last 3 hours. It went by very quick. So many people to thank, including producer Fred and our producer Daniel, the Canadian. Very nice. Daniel, you did a fantastic job. I know you were there alone. There wasn't a lot of people in the building. It was a ghost town. No one to make coffee. No one to talk to in between the break. But I got to say, you did a fantastic job. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. And I think you did a fantastic job filling in for Mark this evening as well.
I try. And Mark's a hard person to fill in for. He's one of the Barrett's top talk show hosts in the country, Mark Reardon is. So it's always an honor when I get a chance to do that. I'll mention anyone that may be listening here. If you could go give me a follow on Facebook, that would be nice. Ryan Recker Radio. Ryan Recker on Twitter. I did Coast to Coast AM last night, and I try to post my schedule on there. Have a great rest of your President's Day. 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending